Easy now. No need to hurry. Get your bearings and report to me upstairs.
What did they do to me?
Let's get our bearings. This again.
Not a very chatty fellow, are you? Not a very chatty fellow, are you?
Not a very chatty fellow, are you?
Rubbish. This again. This again.
An animal sty. Freight or food?
Shaking her fluffy coat, the sheep eyes you balefully, her rectangular eyes like letterboxes to the void.
Did you expect a needle?
With one sharp hoof, she kicks you right in the shin.
Did you expect a needle? Did you expect a needle? The Magister Guard snorts and sniffles as he sleeps. You're almost impressed that one man can make such a phlegmy racket.
before you can even touch the lever, you hear a sniff and snort behind you as the snoring Magister mumbles himself awake. One bloodshot eye opens, and then another.
Is my shift over? Are you here to relieve me? Wait, you're no Magister. You're a sorcerer. What are you doing here, filthy lizard? Choose your words carefully. My fists ache to meet a new face. What in Lucian's name? I should have known there'd be trouble.
The prisoner's eyes meet yours. He speaks not with gratitude, but with gleeful malevolence. Freedom tastes better than wine. And I can set you free in return. Say your prayers while you've breath to speak them, lass. The halls await. Empty. Empty.
Not the most elegant solution, was it?
And I'm back where I started. Nowhere to go but up.
Empty.
you're looking a bit more chipper. Yes. Looks like that collar fits you snugly enough. Nice bit of work, even if I do say so myself. There you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has... In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters.
She frowns and peers at you closely, resting the back of one hand on your forehead and taking your pulse with the other.
Delusions such as these are rare, but not unheard of. I recommend a cup of mulled wine and another night's sleep. Just take it easy. Don't you dare! If you violate the virtue of my carpet, I'll do a good thing worse and put a...
Index fingers pressed to her lips. She pauses a moment to give...
My word. You do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, a new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those Source spells of yours? See what happens.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
My, look at the concentration on your face. There you have it. See? The collar's function. You... For your own peace of mind, of course. There you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Is he? Oh well. Some problems simply sort themselves, don't they? The good ship Merryweather. But you can stand at ease there, Private. You do realize you're not in the army here, don't you?
Index fingers pressed to her lips. She pauses a moment to give you a scrutinized...
My word. You do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps... Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. A new life awaits. And if you're a particularly good girl, perhaps a cure as well. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those Source spells of yours? See what happens.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking.
My, look at the concentration on your face. There you have it. See? The collar's function. For your own peace of mind, of course. Now, where did I leave my calipers?
Yes, this is a rare kind of magic. I'll need to write to headquarters right away.
Good gods! There's been a murder here!
Quite the mess they made.
Behind the Magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
There's been a murder. A sorcerer was killed by one of your own. Lucky you were busy getting your collar fitted at the time, or you'd be a suspect like the rest of them. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does. You surprised? You're one of them. You know what sorcerers are capable of? Whoever did this found a way around their collar and killed a man.
Yes, this is a rare kind of...
Small ones this time, thank the gods. We'll find out who did it. One way.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwoken followed the source that did this.
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. Finn was killed by Source. If a Magister could do that, there wouldn't be a Magister. It looks more like a passenger managed to slip their collar. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Not in here, it isn't. You let me know if you hear anything. It seems as though there's a path within the blood flow. That can't be natural.
A young Magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon as you pass.
No lesions.
A young Magister stands pale and silent.
I forgot how to sing. I did.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty.
You look a little bit elfish. Maybe your daddy was an elf. My daddy's name is Frida. He's wait.
My mum doesn't like elves, but I have a secret. When I grow up, I'm gonna be an elf. She'll get used to it. Do you know Losa? She's a really good singer. I'm better, though. Listen. La 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 la. What's your job? You look like a magic maker. Like me. But maybe not so...
As soon as the Inquisitor... I'm busy watching for clues, sorcerer. Go take your son.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle
Oh,
in it?
there you are. Wife.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not at all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical.
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right. I always knew you'd turn out rotten,
How
Ben
very correct you are, spouse of mine.
kind always
Madame
on
Josephine
post.
Dribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
You've got this wolf on a leash now.
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and get it. Maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles frank.
You put a knuckle in it.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we?
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle
You
if
presume
keep
right.
carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, he reaches out, flicks a finger against one of your scales, and rubs...
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles.
Good luck, Chief. Ask what you must. I've nothing.
Be careful. Someone died here.
Afraid. There's a killer about, after all.
What purpose did that serve?
Till overboiling
Was
a
that
bit
a
of
greeting?
cabbage
Was
becomes
it-
a crown, I shall hold my head steady.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just get to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
Oh dear. I seem to have crossed... You have my apologies. Perhaps I should demand the same from those red-cloaked humans. They laid their hands on me more than once.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can
Perhaps.
keep it quiet long enough.
Perhaps
for me to
not.
listen.
Take this book, for example. It is simultaneously too detailed and... Tell me, what do you know of our world's history?
I've
Oh,
seen more
please.
appetizing things
I have no
coming out of
interest. No,
plague-stricken
I want to
caves.
know about the select. This text tells me that where did these gods
There's
come
nothing
from?
else I can make.
Who
Your
are their
Majesty.
people?
Turnips
Where
and
are the
water
others of their
are all
kind?
The elf's face freezes for just a second before...
Oh, it's just one of my idle... Now, please, run along. I have a world.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take...
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own.
There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook?
Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can
Oh,
keep it
goodness,
quiet long
no.
enough for me to listen.
And don't even mention the demon's test. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor?
I always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Mest. Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
Well, you've got
Yes, I can tell from your vagabond chic, a bag is as good as a shirt kind of style. I shouldn't be getting on then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after.
It was one of them. I know it.
The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. As per your own testimony, you can groom, but you have the taste buds of a dung beetle and the fashion sense of a monk. That won't do at all, see? I'm sad to say I must deny you the opportunity to be my slave. Ever so sorry. I know, but you just don't have what it takes. A good slave's made of steel. Hone your skin.
Ask what you must. I've nothing to hide.
He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but...
Listen up, boy. You hear that?
There's a killer about, after all.
Till overboiling a bit of cabbage becomes a crime,
His
I
eyes
shall
snap
hold
open.
my head
He looks at
steady.
you and...
Murder? I wouldn't know anything. I kill a man. He knows who...
His eyes flutter shut.
Whether they catch me is another matter. But I ain't one to hide my accomplice. The shit.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you.
And?
You've got this wolf on a leash now.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hang you right over the side of this ship with it.
Sick as a leper's cat. From the state of it, I'd say she's been, but there's more. Listen close.
I forgot how to sing. I did.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guard.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I bet 3 months' pay it's this trampy
Turnips and
fam.
water are all I was given.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again.
And I don't intend to do away with the custom.
You faring okay so far?
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more concerned than your appetite.
I'm glad to hear it. You head on in now. But
Really don't know the first source.
It was one of them, but I know it.
And if she tries to put a shot on it, I'm trying to concentrate.
On edge, officer.
He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He will.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants.
I ain't saying nothing.
Long story. Maybe I'll tell you about it in the Joy. Away from interested parties. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
The Joy, I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise. That wonder if we'll get to meet the ringmaster himself.
Skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up.
You think me mad?
Mad? Sufferable, surely. Name?
Not interested in the son of the divine himself. I don't blame you one bit. But Vic here...
What are you conspiring about over there? You, elf! What's your name?
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet.
There's
Name?
nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you.
Away with you. At once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall.
More concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
It was one of them I was trying on her.
Here's the register, man. Good, good. Magister Williams has just about done with the... You faring okay so far? Glad to hear it. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted.
One of us will be in our own. They're picking us off one by one. Just to the part where I reassure you and you shut up. You think me mad? Mad? Insufferable.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer! Go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
I ain't saying nothing. I'll come back to you, but you better be ready to talk here.
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts Source, the Voidwoken will come.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happening?
No time for chatter. We've got to get out of here.
The young woman lies in a heap on the floor. She's breathing normally, but her eyes are wide open, like those of a corpse.
No, not the final dark. Not yet.
You hear a faint thud, thud. Her hand lies limp in yours. She's too...
The dice roll darkly.
Ifan lies motionless, curled on the ground like an animal. lies motionless, curled on. His eyes flicker open. Ifan cries out. Then his eyes fall. The Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a...
Is blocked. I'll need to find another way. Not long before this thing snaps into splinters.
God damn it! Need to get off this wreck, and quick!
Onwards and upwards.
Gods! By divine grace, who was that howling?
He eyes the collar circling your neck and reaches...
Another sorcerer! Even if I knew how to rip that thing off, I wouldn't. Some crazy banshee comes screaming through, and now we got void bugs swarming up top. Saw it coming, I did. Sorcerer mutiny. Your lies end.
And you thought Rivellon was flat. And you thought Rivellon was
Bishop
flat.
Alexander, if Lucian were alive, what would he think of his son's divine order?
suddenly face to face with an undead. His skull is bizarrely angular, and a glorious jewel sits in the middle of his forehead. The skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia, muttering to himself.
No, no, no! What damn fools record knowledge? It catches fire, it turns into must when wet, it cannot even resist acid.
The skeleton looks up and notices you.
Oh. Yes? Shouldn't you be...
The skeleton groans and looks back to his book, frantically flipping from page to page.
Yes, yes. Spend your last few minutes of life battling someone that's trying to read a book. What a split. No wonder you ridiculous creatures keep dying. Why on earth would I do that? I have... And given that this ship is sinking, I expect... Speaking of which, do you not have lifeboats to fight over? Do you look at me and think, why yes, there is someone with organs enough to drown? Trifling matters like water and poison do not... No, damp robes are the most I have to fear. Once this glorified skiff hits the sea floor, I will simply walk to shore. Whereas you, I believe, have lifeboats to pointlessly squabble over. I believe you did. Although I was wearing the face of an elf at the time. I had a mask, rather ingeniously designed, which allowed me to take a mask that was stolen by that damned witch after her little scene. Still, she'll drown with the rest of these fools, and I will simply pluck my mask from her cold, dead hands. Indeed, just as sensible as getting off a sinking ship and leaving a fellow to his business. I would say good day, but it seems quite likely that you're a...
The skeleton shrugs casually and returns. Was painted recently, judging from its pungent scent. You don't recognize the symbol, but it's clearly... You press your palm against the door to open it. The wood feels neither cold nor warm, but simply grey. The color drains from your hand, and you are left numb. It doesn't budge. The door groans open, but an ashen shadow clouds your mind.
That means there's still a chance.
Children and dwarfs first, just like the old stories say.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes, to no avail.
You said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time for getting the hell out of here.
There's a ladder right over there.
You're gonna be the death bud. Had to open your big mouth.
Never need someone.
Won't sink the ship on my watch. Worms take.
Let the games begin. I thought Void Rogan was supposed to be scary.
They who are about to try us.
I've faced worse. Let's head above decks for some air.
Let's not tarry. This old tub is about to burst.
We make a pretty good team.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Oriven.
Did you see them? The Voidwoken. They made short, bloody work of our ship.
Not telling if there are more ashore, and I doubt that voice will save any of us again.
I thought the Order would get rid of any trace of the old Source King.
I thought the Order would get rid of any trace of the old Source King.
Garbage.
The statue must be 1,000 years old. Wonder how much longer it will last.
The child has a small mirror in his hands. He holds it up at angles, inspecting his eyes.
I'm not supposed to talk to lizards. Really? Like, what kind of stories? A seven-headed Can I hear it anyway?
You warmly tell the tale of Visha, but despite your best efforts, you...
Are you a sorcerer? One of those guys that brings the bad void things here?
The child looks at you straight on, unafraid, searching.
I don't see any source on you or me. I guess they're wrong. Or crazy. No one cares where I go. They know I can't leave the island. It's nicer out here than inside, anyway. They're gone now. The Magisters took them already. I guess now they're cured. And maybe... But you didn't die. Guess I am. But it's just normal to be scared. There isn't anywhere safe. You'll see.
Voidwoken. Those are the same beasts that sank our ship. Damn. They've made it to shore. Drowned and eaten by a Voidwoken. I wonder in which order.
black cat. Hello, kitty.
The cat's eyes are clouded and grey, but it stares at its eyes clear, and it shakes its head, confused. You spot a strange lizard gazing over the water with a steady, malcontent stare. His skin is of a bright, blood-red colour. Could he be... Yes, you recognize him from the ship. It would seem you're not the only one who survived the tentacles of the deep. The lizard turns about with the graceful ease of a dancer, or a duelist. You lock eyes with his, two smouldering
I did survive, yes. And chances are I wouldn't have, had you not returned to the aid of your fellow passengers. You have my gratitude.
Hand over heart, he salutes you with a bob of the head. More than a nod, though less than a bow.
Yes, I'm sure you've all the makings of a hero and all that, but let's not get carried... Now then, if there's nothing further... I'm sure I don't mean to sound condescending, but I had thought it quite self-evident I would...
He sighs dramatically.
Tell me. What do you see when you cast your glance over this ocean? Memories. Quite so.
He looks out over the water once more, and so do you. A few tranquil moments...
As for myself, when I consider this vast expanse before us, I see an empire. I see continents dotted with mighty cities, and shimmering along the soft curve of the sea's horizon, I picture the palaces that formed my paradise. Lost. Yes, but these weren't castles in the sky, were they? Quite obviously, I was musing.
Suddenly, having all the air of being deeply offended,
Well, don't just stand there gawking like an ape at an abacus. Or do you really mean to tell me you don't know who I am? Oh, may the Seven have mercy on their own creation. I am the Red Prince. The all... Of course you know me.
There's a brief moment's pause, during which his grandiloquent...
That said, I suppose I must own up to the fact that I find myself rather in between all-conquering and world-taming opportunities at the moment. The grandeur that is my fate has hit a bit of a snag. But never you worry. For the throne I was destined, and my throne I shall have. This and that. Tag along. Do you really mean to compare the fate of an empire to whatever... On the other hand, I really could do with a dog's body. And you've already proven... Fine, I accept. On one condition. For reasons I'll not disclose right now, it is imperative that I should meet with a dream. I've reason to believe one of them may be present on this island. Promise me we'll look for him, and I'll extend you the blessing of my company. You do tend to beat around the bush, don't you? So, now that that's settled, first things first. Even if you are as versed in the art of eloquence as I am, that our swords will be doing a lot of the talking from here on out goes without saying. As a born fighter, I prefer the perfection of the blade myself. But I'm well acquainted with the secrets of magic, and yes, even subterfuge. What say you? Wizardry is embedded in my nature as deeply as the instincts to breathe and drink and mate. The dominion over fire suits me best, truth be told, but there is no school of magic I cannot master. Very well. Onwards, then, to victory or death.
The Red Prince nods and gives you a smile that wavers ever so delicately between courtesy...
Now, as you're aware, you'll be travelling with a prince. Proper forms of address include Your Majesty, Your Royal Highness. As your luck would have it, I seem to be fresh out of luggage, so you won't be required to carry my... Of course, there are other forms of protocol to bear in mind, but I'll see to it you'll pick up the rest as we go.
Hey, mister. It's a lot nicer here than that stinking boat, huh? I'm sure glad you went back to save the others. Saw one of them...
Stay back, sorcerer, and stay silent. Our Godwoken speaks.
We know you've been helping sorcerers escape, Atusa. We have proof.
I'd sooner cut my tongue out than lie to you, Alexander. I know nothing of any escapees.
If you can tell the Godwoken no more, your tongue is of no use. Cut it out.
This can't be serious, Alexander. Come!
You should know by now to obey your superior, Magister, whatever she may ask.
Stay silent, lizard!
Atusa pinches the tip of her tongue with 2 fingers and brings her dagger to its root. Her eyes squeeze shut. Drops of blood form against the dagger's edge and quickly fall to the ground. She groans.
Stop! My father, may his soul rest in peace, would be disappointed in you, Atusa. To think you would lie to his only son, your bishop, and your friend these many years. The fate of our realm hangs in the balance. If you will not help Alice...
Yes, Your Holiness?
I believe we're done here.
Is he? What a waste. Come, we'll be needed elsewhere.
Hush now.
I spotted something. This? I found something.
Here lies a nameless inmate. May he find the peace denied him in life in the Hall of Echoes.
I need to dig here.
One must put in due effort if one is to reap the proper reward.
Come on, old man. I can't wait all day. He hasn't changed a bit. Always late.
Horrible surrounding for an agreeable conversation, but go ahead.
Did you see them? You did, right? Those claws. Wonder what's behind the masks, too. Can't be pretty. That, Magister, that was Bishop Alexander, leader of the Divine Order, and his right hand, Dallas. How do you know? Better get to it, then. A Magister will come and find you when they're ready for you. Could be a while, though. We're up to our...
Didn't I?